Cheers, everyone. So this that we speak about, well, I do anyway. This isn't some other this. It's not something else. It's not somewhere else. You could say it's here, and you could say it's now, but that's saying too much, because it's just as much there and then as it is here and now. And calling it this makes it sound as though you could know this, or that there is a this, and there isn't. And yet it's all that there is. All we're really ever speaking about is that there isn't something else other than what there is. And you don't have to know what there is for there to be what there is. The knowing is in addition, and the knowing, if there is knowing or seeming knowing, then that's what there is. The wonderful news is you don't need to know. That's the illusion. The great illusion that I tell myself is that I need to know. When knowing or not knowing is simply what there is, if that's what there is. It's ridiculous. Ridiculously simple. And it can just be obvious. I haven't got a better word than obvious. It can just be obvious that whether you say you know or whether you say you don't know, so what? What does knowing really mean? Now, it means a lot to me because I stand on my knowledge, on what I know of myself, what I know about what's going on, what I know about. It doesn't matter. You might ask yourself, how do I know what I know? And how do I know what I don't know? And maybe it will be obvious that there is no difference. Knowing what's happening is the illusion. I don't have any sense that what's happening is the illusion. What's happening is what's real. It's the only reality. There isn't anything more than what seems to be happening. But knowing it, and along with knowing parts of it, knowing there are parts of it that I still need to know, that I still need to understand. That's the illusion. This doesn't need any knowing to be completely known. And by completely known, I mean known without knowledge, known without understanding. Simply known because it is. Cheers again. Questions. Questions are always about this. But this is unquestionably as it is. Undeniably, even if there's denial. If you'd like to ask a question or share anything, then just put your hand up. I have got an excuse for drinking beer today. Not that I need one. It's Pam's birthday today. The glorious mother is 86. So she was on the Prosecco at lunchtime. So she's fast asleep now.
David's got his hand up.
David.
I think Elijah might have been first, actually.
Oh, yeah, I think you might be right. They come in different orders and different lists. Yeah, go ahead, Eligio.
Eligio, sorry. Yeah.
Hello, Tim. How are you doing?
Hi, good, thanks. You?
My first question, good. My first question is, how many beers have you had, and what kind of drunk are you? So I know what kind of question to ask you. I used to be an angry drunk.
Yeah, I'm a lover, not a fighter. You?
You're a lover?
Yeah, that kind of drunk.
No danger in me getting pregnant, so we're good.
And yeah, it's what is it? It's Italian.
Okay.
It's
well,
just one. I'm a lightweight, as you'd be called in the UK.
Yeah.
2 beers and I'm anybody's is the usual phrase.
Yeah. Okay. Well, here's my question. I totally understand what you're saying. You're totally saying that we're living in a computer simulation, is what you're saying. And my question is that's what you're saying.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that.
Oh, okay.
Because simulation would infer that there's something else that's real.
Okay.
I'm not saying that.
Well, so then are you saying that we're just the user interface to this world?
No.
Like, how come we can't know? How come we cannot know? Why can't we know anything? Is it because it's devoid of meaning, or is it because our processing power is not enough?
Well,
like in the computer.
When I say we can know, we can't know. We can know things. You know, in order to know things, we have to know separate things and then the relationships between them. We can know that, but it's very relative knowledge. So when I say we can't know, I'm talking about what we're trying to speak of, which is, you could say, everything and nothing, the absolute. There can be no knowledge of that. We can only know parts, so we have to separate what appears, and then we say we know objects of things, and then we know the relationship between those things, and from that we then infer cause and effect, and then we feel we have the sense of we know what's happening, and then we can infer that we can guess what will happen. So that's knowledge. That's my understanding of knowledge.
Okay. Yeah.
So, and that, I'm not saying that isn't real. That is real, but it's very relative. It's a relative reality. And what I'm saying is the absolute reality is completely unknowable. And that's what the self does, because it's got bored of the relative reality, the relative knowledge that it has. It wants absolute knowledge. It wants absolute understanding. I want to know the whole truth and nothing but the truth.
Yeah.
And that quest is futile. That's the message.
But how do we know that?
Oh, we don't know that.
Okay. Well,
I mean, it is the height of arrogance that an individual human being could believe that it could know all the secrets of the universe, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. That's why.
That's what I'm talking about as self. Self is that arrogance.
Mm-hmm. But we're not in a computer simulation.
No.
Yeah.
I don't know that, though.
We could be in a computer simulation.
Of course we could. I love the Matrix.
Okay. That was my question.
Yeah.
I got more computer questions if you want them.
Oh no, please no. But I love the movie The Matrix. First time I saw it, it blew me away. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, it's great. Thank you, Tim.
You're welcome.
I'll let somebody else go.
But I can't, so I can't emphasize enough that the message is that, you know, this, what we're speaking of isn't a simulation, because the simulation is the inference that, oh, there is a reality behind the simulation, hidden, some secret that we could know. And the suggestion here is that there isn't more to know. This is all. And it's a great relief. The end of the quest. I mean, it's a disaster as well. It's equally a great relief. It's a huge relief for the human being because it can stop on its quest, lie down, have a rest, and not get up again because there's no more to learn. And if there is learning that still seems to happen, like I decide to pick up the guitar again and finally learn how to play the guitar, that could happen, but it would be, it wouldn't have any significance, and it would be in a way, I will say that's not going to happen. It hurt my fingers too much. I don't know how Darren does it. He's got longer fingers than me. But if there is learning, you know, learning would be not to get anywhere. It would be for the joy of learning. But learning is empty. It's of no significance other than the pleasure or pain it might bring that might seem to come with it.
So we've got two Davids in the queue. So David with the beard, go ahead.
Okay, thanks. Can you hear me? Yeah. This is it's almost an embarrassing question, this, I'm afraid. It's embarrassingly simple, and you can hear me okay, yeah?
Yeah, fine. Yeah.
Yeah. It kind of relates to non-duality's kind of almost a boast that it's of no practical use to anyone or any, that kind of thing, you know.
Yeah.
And it follows on from something that I heard recently. It was an exchange between a speaker and a seeker. I just want to ask you, and this has probably happened already, and I'm sure, or you must have at least thought of it. If somebody comes to you saying, and in this kind of context, not in a bar or something,
Yeah.
saying, I'm dying, or I think I might be dying. See, the problem is the answers to all these bloody questions is there is no one. Is there anything you can offer within, you know, I'm dying, can you offer me some kind of hope within the context of non-duality? Is it simply the response, that's what's happening? Is that all there can be? I mean, I accept that, but to me, it's such a fucking bummer.
Yeah.
You know, it's the Paul Hederman thing, so I'll just finish, about, you know, if somebody's house is on fire, the last thing they want to hear is that there's no house, there's no fire, and there's no them.
Yeah,
you want to give them a, hang on, you want to give them a pail of water.
Yeah, but I just...
Is there such a thing or not? Is it just simply, sorry,
no.
Bummer, but that's what's happening?
Well, it is a bummer, isn't it, if your house is on fire? Yeah, that goes without saying, David. I think if the house is on fire, it's just natural for human beings to go and get buckets of water or go and try and rescue anyone who's inside. I mean, it's...
is that a silly question? I mean...
Well...
You know, I'm dying. Can you help me in any way at all? In any way? Or no, I can't. You know, it's...
Well,
that's what's happening. And
well, what could I do?
The problem might be that you can't see that, but that's what's happening. I can assure you.
Well, what could I do? I could... The thing is, I think any response is just natural. What could I do? I could hold your hand.
You know, yeah, you could. But I'm talking about a situation like this. I'm not, you know, I'm talking about us kind of, here we go with words, you know, coming to you for whatever. Not between friends, but, you know, in the role of non-duality in this? Does it have, I mean, I know the answer myself, and there's none. It's just, you know, tough luck, and you don't see it. You know, good luck on your journey. I tell
Yeah.
you, actually, now that I think,
I mean, it is harsh, David, because really, yeah, I mean, you are right. You do know the answer already.
yeah. Mm-hmm. And
Um,
maybe not even worth raising,
well,
but it is the ultimate bummer.
yeah, I know it is the ultimate, because this is really without consolation. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. You know, because consolation is always, don't worry, it will be okay. And there can't be that.
Well, in fact, that might be it might be that's the very thing you should be saying.
Well, I can say it is okay, but that is an okayness that it's okay that it's not okay, you know, because your house is on fire. But that doesn't mean to say that you know, as a human being, I wouldn't help you put the fire out.
Sorry, I missed that.
That doesn't mean to say that I wouldn't help you put the fire out.
In what way?
Pour some water on it.
As in?
There's no responses just happen. I don't, you know, how, if you ask me, how would there be a response to what someone said to me, you know, and what the response would be, I don't know.
No, and again, I kind of expected you to say that. And I'm not being dismissive here.
No,
in fact, I don't know why I'm raising. It's just that, you know, I heard this for real, as it were. And I just thought, oof. And, you know, the speaker did their best, I think. But it was basically, that's what's happening. And your heart went out to the person who was looking for hope, actually.
Yeah, without a doubt.
I mean, in a relative sense, something just occurs to me just now. I think a lovely pail of water is, but again, that's all it is. Is, you know, for a raging inferno, a pail of water is not that much. But, Joan Tollison wrote a book called Death, the End of Self-Improvement.
Yeah.
And man, her bluff was called big time, because in the middle of the book, she called for the most aggressive cancer in the middle of writing it.
Yeah.
That's an interesting read. That's quite a nice pail of water.
Wow.
Anyway, just throw that in nowhere. But yeah, I mean, I'm sorry to be so.
No, it's good that you bring it up, David, because of course it can still sound to a seeker as though there is what's being offered is a pail of water, and it's not really. It's an empty pail of water, but because that, you know, it's not saying it doesn't give hope. No, this message doesn't give hope.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I can't say much more, but thanks. I mean, it's there's no. It's good. All these questions, you know, you could close up shop now, because the answer to everything is there is no one. And it's just all variations on a theme, which we enjoy. And listen, I think, you know, being with you is a gas, you're a hoot. I think you're so funny and a great presenter, blah, blah, blah. Sounds patronizing. But, you know, in tandem with this is as bleak as it gets.
Yeah, it is I mean, it is paradoxical, David, because it is as bleak as it gets for self. But it's not bleak at all. I know it sounds bleak. But because of course, the end of hope sounds hopeless. You know, that's the only way that I remember listening to Tony saying this is hopeless, this is hopeless. And I hated him for it, as well as loved him for it. And it was terribly painful, but.
Yeah. So anyway, so I just came on the back of a sort of live experience of this, somebody saying, maybe not that they were dying, but they thought they might be very, very ill, and kind of almost embarrassingly saying, can you help? You know, can you offer me?
Yeah.
And I suppose the answer, the honest answer to that is no, actually.
Well, yeah, I mean, every human being is going to face that death, that's for sure. Yeah, that's obvious.
Yeah. Don't worry about death, it will happen.
Yeah. Well, you could say don't worry about it because it's a certainty.
Hmm.
You could, you know, worry is for it might not happen.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Tim. Thanks for that.
Yeah, thanks for nothing, Tim.
Rock and roll.
But I do know. I mean, it is a great paradox, but the end of hope is not hopeless at all. Because when with hope completely dying, which is a future where I might get what I hope to get, if that dies, then hopeless dies with it. And what you're left with, you could say you're left with a vacuum, which I usually talk about as emptiness. And the emptiness is filled with whatever there is. And there's no knowing what that fullness might look like. So if it's bleak now, it is bleak now. If it feels hopeless now, that is what there is. And I think a denial of that is much more painful than, you know, what self usually does is want to deny it and be comforted to escape from that feeling when it's absolutely real.
I apologize to interrupt, but someone wrote something on chat, and I didn't write it.
Eligio? It's
Yeah,
okay.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. It was a Zoom bomber. I removed her.
Oh, have you removed somebody?
Yeah, they were just complaining about something. They changed their name a few times. I think they were just bombing the meeting.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
Okay. Yeah.
We haven't had a bomber lately.
Nope.
David Husky.
Hello, Tim.
Hi, David.
Good to be with you.
Thank you. You too.
Yeah, about this knowing conundrum. You know, to know something, it has to be separate from the knower.
Yeah.
And there is no separation.
No.
There can be no knowing, really. There's
No.
only what is. And what is very fluid, but it's possible and absolute, actually, to love what is, because loving is what it is. And that's all it is. So thanks for being here, man.
Thanks, David.
Yeah, love you.
Oh, thank you. You too.
Yeah. Everyone is so beautiful today.
Oh, that's so true.
Yeah.
That's lovely, David.
Scott has his hand up. Oh, actually, sorry. Michael, I think was first. Might be wrong.
He beat,
Let's go.
he
Michael
beat me
Scott.
by a second.
Michael, go ahead.
Could you say that there isn't even what is?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, yeah. That's of all the phrases, is perhaps the emptiest of all, really. Yeah. Yeah, because the thing about the what is, of course, it's suggesting there's a what that is. There's no what that is, no. If you actually really tried to speak how this is, it would there would be no sentences at all, because of course there would be no subject object, there would be no, it would be utter gibberish nonsense, which is no different to trying to make it make sense, of course, but no, there isn't a what, no. What would that be? I don't know. I mean, it feels very, I don't know this, again, of course I don't know this, but of course the word God is the almost universal substitute, the word for that what. That's what most human beings use for that which can't be spoken of. We make it, objectify that as a what, as an it, and say God. And worship that. And hope that it's benevolent, that what is a benevolent what. And it's a what that'll look after me and keep me alive when I die. All of those, you know, stories. Scott.
Hey, Tim.
Hi.
Hey, hello, everyone. Wow, it's so weird to be free floating in the nothing. And,
Are you floating?
I don't know what it is, but it's without a relationship to anything.
Mm-hmm.
And now I could see every relationship that we have is limiting. It's constricting us, especially the one with ourselves, with our bodies, with our thoughts, with our minds. But even with your car, your house, everything is just, all of a sudden there you are, small again, you know? And just to hold that, to be nothing in a sea of nothingness, it's so expansive. It's really incredible. It's not like a little bit. It's just all of a sudden it's infinite. And it takes getting used to, you know, it's like, it's cold water in the face, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it can be.
I can kind of see that the efforting that we're doing to get here is actually the opposite. It's keeping us there. That without effort, we can't fall. With any effort at all, we resist this, because it's just our natural state to be actually not connected to anything and free floating. And all the efforting is just tentacles, you know, grabbing, like, don't let me go.
Holding on, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, scary as hell. Scary as hell.
Yeah, I mean, common phrase a lot of people use is free fall.
Yeah.
When self loses its grip, or feels that the ground is no longer solid, feels like falling.
I think someone told me once that the word in Japanese for realization is falling. So it's like falling, but it's like a leaf that never hits the ground. It's just falling always.
Yeah.
So you think it's going to kill you, and there you are. You're still falling. So
yeah,
maybe
there's
it's a long fall.
yeah, there isn't a bottom to hit.
It's funny. It's funny. Anyway, I really, all the efforting I was doing to get here was just keeping the me alive.
Yeah, it will do.
And I mean, I live in this spiritual community where everyone's efforting, and I could see how it's the opposite of what I thought it was.
Yeah.
Or even when you talk about, you know, seeking nothingness or whatever your group was called. It's trying to downshift your ego, your me, into, you know, respectable places.
Yeah.
But it's still keeping it alive, you know.
Oh, without a doubt.
I mean, this fantasy, this story we tell ourselves that I have control here. And you talked about this yesterday. Even it gets so subtle that you're like, well, good karma. It's not like, oh,
Yeah.
it's not even money anymore. It's just like, I'll give this part, but I'll get this back in the future.
Right.
Even all that, it's so subtle, and it just dwindles to nothing. And then you're like, I have no say in the matter. There's no button. There's no magic button.
No. No, really, always speaking about is that, yeah, they're looking for the button can stop.
Yeah.
Can seem to. You're no longer looking for a way out, for an escape route.
Yeah, or the control panel.
Yeah. Yeah, a more complex control panel, a new control panel with some new levers to pull, some new buttons to push. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually think the whole thing is a matter of, you know, refining your control panel until you realize it's like a Hollywood prop.
Yeah, you could describe it as like you go to even if there's looking for the control panel, there's nothing to find. You can't find it. A bit like one of the, you know, you could have a nightmare of driving a car and you go to grab the steering wheel, but there's no wheel.
Oh my God, I haven't had that one.
Maybe you will now. Well, you know, it's so you there's a car coming towards you and you go to swerve, but there's no wheel.
Anyway, it must be some kind of magical thinking we started when we were 1.5 or 2, and just said, I cannot deal with not having control here. I refuse it. And then the ego's born, and then we have all these magical thinking for our whole lives. I got to figure out the system. I'll figure it out. There's got to be a lever. You know?
Well, the root of it is that I don't feel secure. You know, I'm a vulnerable, tiny little self, and I'm always seeking more and more security. And the illusion that knowledge gives is that it'll give me, the more knowledge I have, the more secure I'll be. Not true. Not
true. But, you know, my approach when I talk to people is, you know, you really have to go back to when you were a kid and you invented this. I don't hear it from you, but I wonder what you think about that. Like, isn't that where, you know, the crime was committed, where somehow we made some shift from total faith to...
Yeah, you could say that, but there's just another story, Scott, you know, about, I wouldn't ever recommend anyone to go back. I mean, there's nowhere to go back to.
But it's more of a forgiveness thing than you know, go reliving it. It's kind of, because you find out you're the culprit. So, but it was an honest, simple, sweet, loving mistake. And then you go back. It wasn't 100 years ago. It was a second ago, you know?
No, it's all innocent. That's that becomes very obvious.
Yeah. And
everyone acting from, you know, what you would say is ego. It's all innocent. Everything is innocent.
So God bless us, everyone.
Yeah.
Thanks, Tim.
Thanks, Scott.
Ligio has his hand up.
Hey, Joe.
Sorry, Tim. I don't know the rules if I'm allowed to ask again or not.
Yeah, sure. No rules.
So you're talking about the control panel.
Eligio, there's no rules until you break them, and then I tell you.
Okay. You're talking about a control panel. Could you please use your interface so I may understand it more? Use your interface like in the computer. Would you use those kinds of terms for me?
No.
Okay. My second question is.
You want me to use computer terminology?
Yes.
Well, I'm so illiterate. I mean, I can just use control panel, like on 1970s Star Trek. That's the limit of my technical knowledge, you know.
Okay.
But I can't use computer terminology because I'm illiterate with that.
Okay. Well, the first I was thinking about the first David with the beard. He was talking about a house on fire, and I think I heard it from Sam Harris. He had a story about I don't know where he got it from, but he's talking about when you get hit with an arrow and you're desperate, which means you're desperate to self-actualize or whatever we're talking about. You're desperate, and you're hit by an arrow, and then he says, well, first of all, let's take care of the patient. Let's not ask where the arrow comes from. Mm-hmm. I think might be referring to that. Now, there might be no compassion in helping the guy save his house because, hey, your house is not real, dude. Let it burn. I don't know. Is that why people don't give compassion to people? People sometimes come on here upset, and there's nothing. There's like nothing. Like not even like, hey, dude, go meditate, calm your ass down, dude.
No, I mean, yeah, what we take as compassion. I mean, this is a compassionate message because it's saying, you know, whatever pain there is, whatever suffering there is, it's not yours. For me, that's the compassion.
Right. But the guy suffering.
No, the guy suffering. The guy suffering is suffering. Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, hey, help me out here, Tim.
Yeah. Or, I mean, I'm not saying that I couldn't suggest doing something, you know.
Yeah. But it would probably be wrong because you're feeding the.
Yeah.
All that.
Well, I mean, there's just no knowing what would be the best outcome, is there? There's no, you know, we can act from, a human being can act from compassion of helping someone else.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's always a touch of arrogance about it, suggesting I know what's best for you.
Yeah. Yeah, I see what you're trying to do. I see what, Tim, you're trying to save the world. I understand. I'm just joking. I'll let the next guy ask a question. I'm playing around.
Okay. You like to play around. I quite like it as well.
I like to fucking mess around, and you don't know when I'm joking or not. But thank you, Tim.
I sort of, no, I don't know, but I kind of don't care whether you're joking or not either, which is good.
That's good. Good. Thank you. Oh, sorry.
Diana has her hand up.
Hi, Diana.
Oh, I wasn't expecting to happen so quickly.
That's right.
Yeah. I just wanted to add that, oh shit, hold on. Everything's exploding here. The tech is exploding. Just if you find yourself free falling, like a bottomless pit is like the absolute safest place to be free falling in. I mean, you've kind of won the lottery. I mean, if you're free falling, if that's what's happening, and all of us are actually free falling, and most of the efforting is resisting what is, like trying to control it, which is a complete. I mean, does anyone have any choice in anything? I mean, I don't think so. Even the seeking, is there any choice? No. The teaching, the speaking, none of it is a choice. So it's just happening. And it's the resistance, that's the effort, that's the struggle and the suffering, and just free falling. That's the reality. We are all free falling. And I don't know, it just feels like, I love that it's a bottomless pit. I mean, it is pretty bleak. I mean, not bleak really, but I mean, it's, man, it's ruthless.
Yeah, it's a kind of benign ruthless though. It's a ruthless, it can feel ruthless, but the ruthless is in relation to me. I mean, it's only ruthless in relation to my needs and my desires. It's not really ruthless, because ruthless sounds like there is an agenda, but this has no agenda. It's completely, it's the neutrality.
Absolutely.
An absolute neutrality that as a human being, it can't really, I mean, I speak about it, but it's not, I don't know it. It's what I call emptiness, you know. You call it a bottomless pit, which sounds,
I love it. No, I love it. No, I call it emptiness too. I love it. I'm in love with it. I'm absolutely in love with emptiness.
It sounds,
I'm just obsessive. I just think about it all the time. I see it everywhere.
it sounds particularly dreadful though, the bottomless pit.
Well, when you start talking about it, it does sound a little austere when you, I mean, there's no way to really talk about it. There's nothing honest to really say about it. I mean, truly silence is the most honest expression of it. And no matter how eloquent the words or how you know, astute the descriptions, you'll never touch it. You'll never touch it. Nothing can touch it. You are, I mean, it is everything.
Yeah,
it
there's
is
nothing
absolutely, I mean.
I will say something about the free falling, because the sense here is that the free falling is when the self is still trying to hold on, is looking for handholds. So there's a sense of the ground that I stood on, which was knowing that I knew where I was and who I was and what I was doing. That becomes flimsy, to say the least, or it can actually completely disintegrate. And so there's a sense of falling. I can't say there's any sense of falling. You know, what I would say in the place of the falling is stillness. It's unmoving. It's emptiness, but there's an emptiness that it needs someone to fall. It needs me to fall. To have the sense of falling, it's me falling. I'm falling. It's dreadful. I don't know. I can't control this.
But do you have a sense of the unbridled wildness of it?
Yeah, I certainly had that falling.
I mean, it's total stillness, but it's absolute wilderness, unbridled wilderness. I mean, it's a conundrum. It doesn't make sense.
No.
Do you feel that? I mean,
yeah, you could say this emptiness is completely, the wildness is the fullness. So what appears is completely wild and free, appearing as it is, with no knowing how that is or why it is. And so the wildness and the freedom is the not knowing.
And it is way more fun to not resist it. It is just way more fun to get on board with, I mean, just to drop the resistance is the energy drain.
It's a lot less effort, Diana.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and it's you kind of have to go insane, a little bit insane, you know, like, I mean, you have to go out of your mind. At least I did. I felt like I had to. I'll say it that way.
Yeah, and it does seem that does happen for quite a few people. Yeah, but I don't think it has to be that way.
It did for me, you know. I mean, I just total drop into the heart and the kind of like the viscera, like the animal sort of viscera, if that makes any sense. Like,
that does make sense. So what I'm speaking of is very, very natural.
It's so natural.
Very, very bodily.
it's so intimate. I mean, there's no separation. I mean, it's such a cliche almost. It's like laughable. Like,
no, well, all the cliches become obvious, and then you do laugh that, well, I've heard these cliches a lot of times, and oh shit, yeah.
Yeah, but when it lands, like, oh my God, like, this is like, it's been here all along. It's like always been here. It's the only thing I've ever actually known. I mean, it's like knowing what you already have always known.
Yeah,
Now,
there's nothing.
I know you don't like that word, no, but
No, it's certainly nothing new, that's for sure. Yeah.
yeah, it's like remembering.
Yeah, again, the complete paradox is nothing new, and it's always new.
Absolutely, it's fresh, and it's remembering. Yeah, it's like, yeah, it's a beautiful thing. I mean, I just, the beauty of it is just, that's part of the astonishment. It's just so, like, this is so beyond imagination or mind.
Yeah. There's no imagination involved. No.
I mean, it's just, when I think back, when I thought I could like attain it through like, just, I don't know, like through my wits, you know what I mean? Like wits and intelligence and imagination. I can will it, you know, somehow. I mean, how laughable was that? Like, it was cute. I mean, it was like really cute, but
yeah, it's all innocent.
Absolutely. I mean, it had to happen. There was no choice in it, you know.
Thanks, Diana.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's lovely. Ralph.
Go ahead, Ralph. You're muted, Ralph.
Hi there. You hear me now?
Hi, Ralph. Yeah.
Hi, Tim. How you doing? I had two very quick questions, if that's all right.
Yeah, sure.
Some other speakers say things like leave the world alone, or, you know, practice something, but it seems everything's a practice, and all practices are fairly pointless if there's no one there to do any practicing. So just what you thought on that, and also just another point in that is on desires and preferences, and what's the difference. And, you know, a thwarted desire obviously brings pain, but preferences, how does that relate? That was it.
Well, you know, it depends what you mean. I mean, they're just words, but I guess when people say desire, they're usually talking about my desires. But I think there's very little difference between desire and preference. They're just two words for the same thing. You know, I like that, but I don't like that. And like everything else, the reality is that it was never you that liked that, but a human being likes what it likes. Okay. Preferences and desires are perfectly natural, but like everything else, they've been claimed by me. I claim them as mine. And then they have a much greater significance than they really have. I mean, really, does it matter a shit what Ralph likes and dislikes? No, it only matters to Ralph or the people he lives with, because he demands that he gets what he likes on TV or something. But actually, it's all wonderfully insignificant, Ralph. But it's not insignificant to me. Self makes those desires and preferences hugely important, as though they matter. And the wonderful news is, I mean, part of the great freedom of what we're speaking about is it doesn't matter. You know, you can still say, I like this. It doesn't, but without the sense of it's important because it's what I desire, preferences, which are usually referred to because it's less personal than desire as a word, they're very light, so it doesn't matter. And there's great freedom. There's great freedom for the human being in that, without the heaviness and the weight of my desires that I need to fulfill. You know, I've only got this short lifetime, or, you know, I might have another one. I might have some lined up in reincarnation or whatever else self believes in, but, you know, it's always very limited. Whereas desire is actually very free. It appears or it doesn't. And I'm sure you know full well, Ralph, you don't control desire. Me suggests that they're my desires. Well, they're obviously not mine, because you don't have any say over them.
Yeah.
You know, you can be walking down the street and hit by a very strong desire for a Big Mac and large fries. And before you know it, you've got them in your hands. You go, how the hell did this happen?
Yeah.
Type of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, this isn't about controlling desires or saying they're right or wrong or not saying anything about them. They're just something that naturally occurs.
Okay, brilliant.
And free, I would say, you know, if one of the great liberations is liberation for preferences to be just as they are. You know, someone asks you, do you want coffee or tea? And you have tea, please. And they're, hold on, you said coffee yesterday. I went, oh, did I? Well, now there's preferring coffee rather than tea, or tea rather than coffee. Because that's the other thing about preferences and desires. Me says they need to be set. This is how I'm, you know, I desire this. And it's part of my sense of self. Whereas actually they're just totally random and freely occurring. Yeah, I don't want cake today, thank you. But yesterday you said you loved cream cakes. Yeah, I don't like them. Today, I would rather eat my own toenails than eat that cream cake. So what? It's wonderful.
Okay, excellent.
Other people, I will say, other people don't necessarily like it. Because you're a bit too flexible. They can't box you in quite like they want to, and they don't like that. You could find that if you start just going with whatever preference appears.
Okay.
I don't know what I think there was another question, Scott, but I've forgotten that one.
It was really the same idea, just
sorry, Ralph.
Sorry, it was just like other speakers have said things like Robert Adams says, leave the world alone, kind of thing, but it all still implies choice.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Whether you want to fix the world or you want to leave the world alone, the world doesn't care either way, does it?
Yeah. So it's
pointless. Do you think that the world is noticing whether you want to save it or you can give a shit about it?
No, it's just the self-arrogance again.
Yeah, it's only for me, all of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really self-satisfied, and there's nothing more self-satisfied than a big group of self-satisfied selves. You know, the bigger the group, the more self-satisfied they become.
Yeah. Excellent, thank you.
But yeah, it doesn't matter. And again, of course, you're dead right, Ralph. It's all innocent. And it's not, one is not better than the other. Don't tell that to the ones who are saving the world, though, because they won't have that.
No, exactly. Yeah.
It's I would, yeah, it's a new form of piety, isn't it?
Yeah.
I just see. It's a bit too political, but I just see there's nothing more pious than save the earth.
Michael has his hand up.
Michael.
Is it your opinion that enlightenment is also part of this dream, part of this consensus overlay? That for us, there's nothing beyond that. We are that. Is that the way your particular brain sees it, or?
Michael, you know that's not how my brain sees. You know, I don't know. I don't see. I know that is how you see it. I don't see any of that. But I accept, I can see how, when you say it, it makes sense, but I don't see that, no.
That we can think of nothing other than the objectification of it. And that would have to include what we think of as enlightenment or awakening.
Yeah, yeah, I'd agree with you.
That's just another story.
Yeah. I think we completely agree on we only have stories to tell each other. Yeah.
And stories are objectified, or the objectification of perceptual input.
Yeah.
So everything.
Yeah, that's what that's what language is. Yeah. Yeah, we don't disagree.
So we can't. I'm sorry. So we cannot see beyond the languaging.
Well,
there's nothing beyond.
It depends. We certainly can't think beyond the languaging, because thinking is language. I think language and thinking. But whether we can see beyond it depends what you were. I mean, the word "see," you know, that is an interesting word, "see," because there's lots of "see" can mean quite a lot of different. Yeah. But saying, I think we can see, maybe we can see a seeing that we can't speak about, but we can't say what we see without objectifying.
Oh, yeah. I would, from my perspective, I would think that there's absolutely nothing for us beyond the objectification of reality, or what we see as reality. It has to be objectified, has to be made an object separate from us
to know
in order to experience it, to know it.
Yeah. But I'm not sure I'd agree about experience, but to certainly be able to, because I mean, experience is experience is really hard to pin down what we actually mean, but in certainly to relate experience, without a doubt, that's all objectified. It cannot be otherwise, because we have to use language to communicate it, and that's objectification. Yeah.
Maybe we're dancing on the nebulous.
Well, the nebulous, yeah, because the nebulous may, you know, who's to say that the nebulous can't be seen or experienced, but not in a way that is objectified or that requires objectification. But that's why we can't speak about it. And that's why I mean, throughout history, when what we're trying to communicate is, people have tried to speak about it, they've always said it's the ineffable, the unspeakable, the unknowable, the unsayable. And that's really what we're always hinting at. We're trying to point towards that which can't be pointed at.
That's assuming that there's an it beyond our ability to point.
And again, there isn't an it. No, I don't have any sense that there is an it to be pointed at. But that's what we're trying to point. But that's what we're trying. That's what we're trying to point at. I mean, there is a sense here that there is a desire to an utterly futile attempt to point at what isn't really. So what is the objectifiable and the knowable, which is things, words, and then there is what that is as well, which it isn't. So there is what it is, which the is we can speak about, the isn't we can't speak about, but it can be very obvious that it isn't. And I don't know what that is, because it isn't. So you can't speak about that. That's as good as I've got.
See what you
Bloody useless.
Thanks.
Okay, follow up on that. Okay, so all right, so okay, so we can't speak of what is. So is it any value having the concept of nothing through language? Must I have that concept that there is enlightenment for me to find out that the it cannot be known, or what is not being known?
Well, there's some good news, Joe. You can know what is, because that's the knowable that Michael's been speaking of, the objectifiable, the thingness of things, and that's what we can know, and that is the unknowable.
What is known? The objects is the unknowable.
Yes, the known is the unknowable. Yeah.
I just think I know.
Yeah, and if you think you know the unknowable, well, it's not the unknowable.
Help me out here.
Because I think I know it.
Do you got a bucket of water, Tim?
Yeah, if I had one, I'd be throwing it right now.
A bucket of beer would be nice too.
Bucket of beer.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Michael. Okay. Well, on that, we'll finish there. Well, thank you very much for coming, everyone.
Thanks, Tim.
Always a pleasure. I appreciate everyone coming. And if you'd like to make a donation, then by all means do. Much appreciated. I'll send out invitations for Monday and Thursday next week. If you'd like an invitation and you're not on the email list, then just go to the website and email me with your address and I'll do that. Thanks, everyone.
Just before you go, Tim, as well, just a reminder, if anyone wants to go to Nothing Cafe, that's happening afterwards.
Yeah.
It's like just a virtual hangout and chat. You can register in the chat. There's a little link.
Can I just say, if you really, you feel that you'd like to talk to, you don't have to talk about non-duality, but if you'd like to talk to the open-minded kind of souls that turn up to non-duality meetings, and you'd like a bit of a laugh and just share how, what shit's going down for you, that non-duality Nothing Cafe is great for that. And Neil is, it's already got a real buzz about it. So if you haven't been yet, I'd recommend you to go. If you want to talk, you go into small groups of 4 or 5. So it really is like it's a great substitute for going to the pub or the cafe and having coffee or beer. And if you're missing that, which I'm guessing a lot of you still are, then I recommend it highly. I don't go because I'm knackered after this. It takes quite a lot of energy, believe it or not. It might look effortless, but no, there's quite a bit of effort going into it. So I recommend you to do that if you fancy it. And if not, I'll see you next week, hopefully.
Thanks, Tim. And if anyone wants to do that, links in the chat, or you can go to Nothing Cafe on Facebook and find it there. Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, folks. Bye.
Bye. Everyone.
Next week.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
See you.
Bye. Bye. Bye.